All right, welcome back, everybody. We're back live, and Darren Tipton here with VBAdrenaline.com and our signing day coverage, our early signing day coverage here on our live channels. We will go with our live show at 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. marathon. I got to get my nap in after this, but I am joined now by Lincoln Arneal, and that means we can only be talking one thing, and that's Husker volleyball. So Lincoln's with Huskers Illustrated and the Volleyball State podcast. But it's been very good to me over the last couple of years talking Huskers. We talked after the national championship last year, and we've talked in the summertime, always up to date on the recruiting. And as a matter of fact, just seconds before we were going to push the record, breaking news. I mean, just you had to break some news. What's going on?
Breaking news, a player who committed like a year and a half ago officially signed. Campbell Flynn is now officially Huskers, which I guess now the coaches can talk about her. But we've known this commitment was long coming, but it's official. The paperwork is in.
I mean, so rather than saying that one kid, now they can say Campbell Flynn. Now they can really tell us what they like about
We
him.
like the future of our setter. Now we can say Campbell Flynn is the future of the setting position.
So yesterday, mum's the word, and now today they can just give us the scoop on what's great about her hands and her footwork and the heir apparent Campbell Flynn to the setting dynasty at Nebraska.
Yes, following in the footsteps of South Dakota's own Bergen Riley. So yes, it's.
That's right. Sioux Empire's own. O'Gorman famous, Kairos famous. I mean, she literally put this state on the map. Bergen Riley, how is she doing this year?
He's great. I think we had half of South Dakota came down a couple weeks ago. We had the big Nebraska, Illinois. The Riley sisters were playing on the court. There's tons of family members. It was great to catch up and see them kind of interact. The last time they'll be on the college court together. So that was fun to see. But doing well. Both of them are doing well and helping their programs do good things this year.
Yeah, that's great. We can't get into that one. That's a podcast right there on that whole relationship. But that was really neat to see. And Reagan wrapping up her career, it just shows how old I'm getting. They were my beta testers for our top testing that is part of our player profiles now. When Bergen was like in 8th grade and Reagan was a sophomore. Or at the Kairos facilities doing all the top testing, and they had me do some of the drills, and they laughed at me way back. But so let's talk and dive in as you follow not only signing day, but the Huskers recruiting all through. Let's go through this class as you and I have talked a little bit about it and a lot off the camera, but what's the thought on this class as a whole in maybe the people in the know in Husker Nation?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of excitement around this class. I mean, this is the class that's replacing that dream team class for seniors right now. So it adds a player at every single position. So they are reloading. It's a bigger class. I think Nebraska has kind of fallen into this cycle where they have a big class and then a smaller class kind of alternating every other year. But there's a lot of depth and I think a lot of talent. They were very intentional. They kind of got a late piece to make sure that they have a prospect coming in at every position. And I think they're going to be competing for playing time. I mean, Nebraska returns a lot of players, but when you got people the talent of a Tariah Sigler or a Carrie Limbach that can add to the depth, or even a Ryan Hunter at opposite too. I mean, there will be a need next year. They're expecting him to walk in that door and be able to compete on day one.
Yeah, and I think that's with where they're going to recruit every year. Where they are in Texas, it's just what we talk about. They're going for, they're only looking at about 10 kids a year, and they're the number one and the number two at every position that they recruit. And those kids are expecting now to walk in the door and play right away.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, is, I mean, they're the teams that have national team experience. They know each other. They run in the same circles. They're going to the same camps, the Texas, the Wisconsins, the Nebraska camps, the Kentucky camps. I mean, they're all seeing, they know the camp circuit well, so all these players know each other, but they're coming in there. And I think the one interesting piece of the story is that middle blocker. I mean, a player who may not be in the top 3 or 4, but is definitely a need for Nebraska. Manaya Ogbechi from California is a good add too, and I think we've seen her kind of shoot up the rankings, shoot up the kind of the ratings since she committed and kind of came onto the radar with Nebraska.
Lincoln, did you not get our press release?
I did. I didn't. There was no rankings.
You're looking at the wrong. First of all, rankings. We got to get rid of that word rankings.
Ratings.
See,
how about ratings?
How about power value? How about power value?
Yes. We like power value.
And you're going to be surprised later on when you watch the live show just how far she climbed up in that power value. She did crush it in USA Volleyball, Jim, and Manaya is going. I think she is the key to that class, and how that worked out with her decommitting with the change in staff at Northwestern, an early commitment at Northwestern, and she. Decommitted, I think, for quite a while. So much different in volleyball and football. Football, they decommit every other week, I think. And volleyball stays under the radar, which is crazy in today's world.
Yeah. Press release for anybody that's saying, "Oh, this person's now out in the open." It's like, "Oh, they changed their profile, their social media profile," and like, "Oh, you have to do some detective work to figure out if they are no longer a commit."
I know I'm pretty good at that detective work too, and they keep it from me. They're like, coaches are like, "Don't tell that cookie dough guy you decommitted." They're like, "Don't let him know." But she kept it. And was looking, and then when Nebraska gets her, especially with the loss of 8 names last year to that class, middle was huge for them, right? I mean, don't you think that was a big need?
Yeah, because I mean, you look at who they have on their roster too. I mean, they had to add a graduate transfer in Layla Blackwell this year, so she's there 1 year, and next year they'll have a senior and a junior. They need you can't go through a season with just 2 middle blockers. It's a physical position. Injuries happen. Players wear down. You need at least a third middle blocker too. And I think to get someone that they can be having the program for 4 years and really develop is exciting too. And especially someone that has the athleticism of Manaya. And I talked to her last year after she committed. I mean, very intelligent person. I mean, she was. I think her dad played football at Stanford. Her aunt played volleyball at Harvard. She was going to go to Northwestern. So very intelligent young woman. And she was very thoughtful and considerate about the program she was looking at too. People may not put Nebraska on the same academic standards as other 3 schools, but she was very thoughtful about the process and wanted to make sure that she was going to get what she needed academically from a college program and athletically be challenged as well too.
Well, and I know there's again, we're not big in rankings. I shouldn't say that. We're not big in how everybody else does their rankings is what we're not big into. And I don't do our PPVs is why I have confidence in them. We have people like Amy Pauley, right, who put together, she's literally a pro, and she helped put together, she was a master when she was in the college game. She helps me evaluate. Now, Mac, who's with us, watches hours of film and has done that. They are smarter than me. People like that look and know and have done that to put food on their plate, right? And so, but what the joke kind of is that you'll be lower ranked and then Nebraska offers you and you automatically bump up 20 spots. We did not do that. We didn't have her as a higher PPV. When we started, we didn't have a ranking on her, to be honest, and didn't bump her until we saw her. And the feedback that we got almost immediately after was in the USA gym.
Yeah.
And had big reviews. But then even on the club circuit, right, the open level, she just kept getting better and better and better. And then every NTDP last year, she just kept playing with more confidence and more energy. And I don't know if that rejuvenated her or what it was, but it just, the reports that we got when we just talked to people was she's playing so much better. And maybe that was physically, maybe she had physical gains, but she earned it last year. And she was one of, we felt, the top 3, if not 4 middles in the class. And that's why I think people will be, I don't know if they'll be surprised, but I really feel like she earned the PPV that she was given, and it puts her up at the top.
Oh yeah. And she was on the U19 national team too. I mean, they don't hand those spouts out as token awards. So they viewed her as a valuable part of that team to play with USA volleyball. And watching some of those matches too, I thought she looked like she fit in. And maybe it's just that confidence of realizing that she is peers with all these other names that are more highly known in the recruiting circles. So I think that might have given her some confidence, like, I belong, I should play here. And confidence can do wonders for a player on the volleyball court.
They when you get in a group, you get a chance to prove yourself, and all of a sudden that switch gets flipped. There's no holding you back, and vice versa, right? I mean, that's what other people don't see, is when you're in that elite gym, it goes both ways, right? And they don't see that, and others do. And I'm going to take the eyes in that gym over the eyes at a club tournament any day, right? They get paid for it. And
it's a lot easier to compare like versus like than watching one player on one court and then seeing how they're playing against some other random club team on a different court too. You're seeing elite versus elite in those gyms. You ask any
power vibe coach, and they're going to tell you, I want to see best versus best. And and get in a whole nother argument, but they say, well, just because she plays open, well, the difference of playing open is you're playing that level every week, and coaches want to see, okay, if I'm playing in the Big Ten, guess who I'm playing against every night? Best versus best, right? And the only difference is if I play at Legacy, I'm playing in an open tournament every week, in a qualifier every week, and guess who I'm going against almost every weekend?
Going against the best, yep.
And if I can see that level, you see if you rise to it or you shy away from it, and when they get the opportunity. But we digress. I want to talk about Ryan Hunter a little bit, because I haven't seen her. The question, not Ryan Hunter's fault, but been off the court for about a year, coming back from the injury. I know one of the most dynamic players in the class pre-injury. My thought with her is they got to be thinking, we have some depth, give her time to make sure she's fully back from that injury, so she's pre-Ryan Hunter.
Yeah, and I mean, she suffered that in early, late February, March. So I mean, it's not even been. I mean, it's been 6-7 months since then. So she hasn't played at all. High school season, will play. Hopefully by the time next fall, 2025, she'll be back on the court playing. But yeah, there's no reason to rush her. Make sure that she's long-term development. Okay, but I watched her. She came to a Dream Team camp. Got to see her perform a little bit. That I thought she looked very explosive, really good, strong left-hander on the opposite position. So I was impressed from what I saw. It was devastating. You hate to see that a player lose a season, especially her senior season when she's supposed to be catapulting off into the college game too. And now you're hopefully plateauing and can grow after that injury too. But you never know. ACL injuries, we've advanced a lot medically, but you hope that she can bounce back to meet those levels and exceed them where she was before.
All right. So we pair all of these. And so when it comes down to all these girls, because again, it's always going to come down to, at least for the foreseeable future, until another school gets their nose in there and figures out how to beat out Texas and Nebraska. It's going to be Texas and Nebraska. in on, the top prospects in the country, but we're breaking these down, and you'll see our results later, and we can hear everybody's comments, which we like. Sigler versus Kari Spears. Have you been able to look at Spears or Vanderwall for Texas?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you saw both Sigler and Vanderwall play on that junior national team too. And they were the highlights of the tournament for me out of any of the teams I saw play that. They took over the tournament, and they were really dynamic outside hitters. I didn't see Spears that much. I saw a little bit of her. I saw her again at the Dream Team camp. And I mean, she's a different style of player because I think she's just a lot more physical, a little bit different body type. But I think, I mean, they're all in the same class of players who can change a match, take over a match, put up 15, 20 kills in a match too, and really kind of dictate the flow of an offense too. The thing that impresses me about Sigler, she has a very heavy arm, and she can really,
very heavy.
Yeah, I mean, she can hit. She has some skills and some different shots too, but she brings power and can really hit the ball with a lot of force.
Yeah, and so to me, that's talking more. My comparison would be more with her and Spears than it would be with Vanderwall, and so that interesting because I never got to see them play each other. But to me, those two would be more the comparison, and Vanderwall is just her own.
A little more finesse, a little more skill, I think, in her. But yeah, Sigler and I think Spears are the power hitters that can go ahead, put your block up. I'm going to break your fingers. Sorry.
They break their fingers, which I think Spears has that. From what I understand, Sigler has the advantage. I think the back row skills right now, that all around game. Again, just what the little birdies say around the game is that maybe ceiling wise, Spears has the potential for the higher ceiling. I'm guessing in your neck of the woods, people would say that's hogwash. But we will see. Time will tell. I bet they'll both be good players. And then Campbell Flynn, what is the projection? What is about her game other than being 6'2", and that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think left-handed too. I mean, you see with left-handed setters, they offer a different perspective. They can be a lot more aggressive. I mean, watching a lot of the setters, Cam Hayworth at Indiana comes to mind too. She's a lefty and just very aggressive at the net and is a threat up there too. I mean, but I think the nice part is that Campbell Flynn can come in and learn from Bergen Riley, and there's not the pressure and expectations to take over a program. Even though we've seen a lot of freshman setters last year and this year step into that role and thrive, I don't think that there's a lot of pressure coming on Campbell Flynn. But she comes in with good she has a relationship history with Harper Murray, comes from the same club in Michigan. So, yeah.
You got a whole slew of them coming now.
They got Gabby DeVita coming up next year. So there's a lot. Legacy is a good program to have a pipeline too. So they can develop a lot of studs coming out of that program. So, but yeah, Campbell Flynn, athletic. But I think, doesn't have the pressure of stepping in, knowing she'll be running the program on day one. If she can, then she's done something extraordinary. But Bergen Riley, she learn out of Bergen Riley, Kelly Hunter should be a good environment for her. From her.
Yeah, God, that's a whole other thing. That's what I don't understand. Like, to me, that's impossible to think that you would challenge. You know what I mean? To think the challenge, but also if you're a Campbell Flynn, don't you have to think you're going somewhere to play day one?
Yeah. I mean, it's watching you look at the freshmen, the Charlie Furbringers, the Izzy Starks, Bergen Riley too. Yeah. And this isn't to say, leading the team to a national championship as well too, your freshman year too. So, just what they've been able to do, the freshmen have been able to do at that level too. And it is very impressive too. So, Yeah, I was surprised they got an elite setter too, but just kind of they're on that rotation every 2 years. You have to take a setter just so you have that depth. I mean, they're losing Kennedy Orr as their backup setter, so they need someone to be a setter on the roster. So it's surprising, but if you can convince Campbell Flynn on the development program,
right?
Good, great, that's great. So
Well, and they have the story now. They have the story now about a freshman coming in, and I mean, they do have the story talk and all their positions, right? Sigler, is expecting to come in. They all have those positions and all these programs do. Texas has the same thing, right? There's no difference at Kentucky, Louisville. They're Wisconsin, right? They all have.
There's no easy path to playing time. You may think there is, but I mean, Sigler's coming up as one of the best recruits in the nation, but she's got to worry about Harper Murray. She's got Skylar Pierce to compete against too. So there's and Taylor Landfair could be back for another year too. So there's just a lot of depth of talent. When you're going into an elite program, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to fight for that playing time.
My thing is stick around, keep that money, and the food's good. Cafeteria. When you get out on your own, right? I mean, you got to cook for yourself. Just stay there. You get 3 meals a day and whatever. But I want to ask you this, and then we'll let you go. Compare this class to so you said the dream team is seniors. I would think the dream team was sophomores.
Well, the dream team, the first year of the dream team camp was the year that they got Lindsay Krause, Kennedy Orr, Allie Bainhorst, Lexi Rodriguez. We're all part of that first year. They initiated the first year of the dream team camp was that. So that's kind of, I refer to that. I mean, you start stacking these number one players and these teams together, these big groups of elite prospects. You could do that. I think last year's the recruiting class, the sophomores this year may have produced better on-court results initially. So who do you want to refer to as dream team? I refer to them as dream team because they initiated the dream team camp that Nebraska hosts every summer.
Well, me and my short knowledge, and I just like saying greatest of all time. I just like saying that. So I just self-impose them as the greatest recruiting class ever, the class 2 years ago, the sophomores.
I think their on-court results. I mean, both of them did reach the national championship match their freshman year. So I think last year may have had a little bit larger role with 3 full-time starters and a back row specialist playing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see first one who gets a ring. I guess that they need multiple dream team classes to get a ring, perhaps.
Yeah, you got to get one. But how would you? I would say the sophomores have to be a little stronger maybe than this
They've
class.
Produced more. Yeah, they've produced more.
All right, now I have to ask you. I know what you have to say, but I'm just going to read your facial expression. Read your nonverbal. So your sophomore, the greatest recruiting class ever of all time. Match it up if we had to do the PPVs. Match it up versus Texas's class of this year.
Oh, Texas's class. So,
all right. So we got we don't have a setter in Texas's class.
Yeah, that's what makes it harder too. Because I think that setter is that linchpin to really. I mean, that you look at what Bergen Riley did as a freshman. Yeah.
So we got.
I mean, Ellis Wendell's still there, so that helps. But I think as far as playing time, I mean,
you got Kruger. Kruger is number one, bro. You got Vanderwall and Spears. Outsides, which will for sure, I think, be in the rotation, is playing right away. Harvey. No, I think I got to give it to Nebraska still.
I think, yeah, I think at the top level, I mean, you got the Vanderwalls and Spears. I think they can compete kind of, they look similar to a Harper Murray or an Andy Jackson, even though she plays different positions. But I think that it's the depth of Nebraska that really, I mean, Nebraska did redshirt. I mean, Caroline Juravicius was part of that class who then transferred and is now at Penn State. But and so she redshirted last year. But I think that it's the depth. It's those 4 players that were that Nebraska is not making the national title game without them. And again, we're looking at in hindsight what they were able to do, and there were players that surprised. I mean, I don't know if Nebraska knew what they were going to get out of Andy Jackson. She was kind of maybe a slightly under the radar.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was Andy Jackson like coming in? She wasn't that highly touted.
No, I mean, I think they knew they were banking on her athleticism, but I think there was a lot of refinement that would happen that they're still figuring out how to best use her. So, yeah, it's a fun process to go through, and I mean, I think but Texas does have the top end talent between especially Vanderwall, Spears. I mean, Taylor Harvey's. I mean, I don't know, not that she's buried deep, but they have a lot of young middle blockers on the Texas roster that she'll have to compete with, and I don't. The path there is a little more blocked than it was for Andy Jackson last year.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think, well, maybe we'll ask Jalen later to break it down and see what he thinks.
He will have thoughts for sure. He may get, I don't know how much he can say, but yeah.
Coach Elliott.
They'll have thoughts. Put them. There's your crossfire you can use between the two of them. Debate this. Go.
Split screen them, but I actually think that will be a fun group to bring back in and a reload and just take a new crew and completely build with them and the freshmen this year. But that's here or there. All right, let me ask you this, just one, and then we'll let you go and get some more breaking news. But you'll get it. Mac's too dang young. We had to cut this because it just didn't land. All right. Analogy. Here's my analogy: college volleyball this year. Mm-hmm. Rocky III. Did you ever watch it?
I haven't seen it in a long time. If I've seen parts of it. This is going to fail on me too. Oh no. I know enough about it though. I'm dangerous.
Texas, Rocky Balboa,
mm-hmm.
Pitt, Nebraska, Louisville, or Clubber Lang.
Oh, 3 versus.
Remember Clubber Lang? Mean Streets, locked in. Here's Rocky. Fought so hard, and Rocky 1, Rocky 2 got the title. Kind of got a little complacent. Rocky 3, Clubber Lang was on a mission.
Yeah.
I just think they're so locked in. Nebraska is just so locked in, but Pitt is as well. And I haven't seen them in person since the very beginning of the season, but if Louisville Pitt match wouldn't have been on the Ocho or whatever
ACC Network Extra Plus,
the Ocho,
yeah,
with lawn darts, but the way they're playing, I mean, those teams are all just so locked in. I mean, how well is Nebraska just?
Yeah, I catch grief every week because I still have Pitt #1 in my volleyball magazine ranking. So
well, you should.
I know Pitt is more impressive. I watched Pitt. Pitt is a machine. They are efficient and on offense and defense. They are very good. Nebraska is also very good, but it's not at Pitt's level right now. I mean, if they were playing head to head, I would say Pitt would be favored. I don't know who's going to win the match, but I think going in, Pitt would be favored.
We broke it. Yep, Mac broke it down by position, and but my only thing was this: is just don't be unrealistic. You never take a #1 team in the polls and drop them to #2 because somebody else is hot. You don't do that, right? You just don't.
It has been cold. They're still.
Thank you. That was. Yeah. I know, and I caught heck. It's not. It has nothing to do with it. We would not even have that conversation if they were flipped. We wouldn't say, "Oh my gosh!"
Weeks after they lost, but I think the week they beat. Who did they beat? Louisville and someone
Wisconsin.
else. Stanford. They beat Stanford, and they were like, okay, they've now matched Nebraska's resumes. Their best 2 wins matched Pitt's best 2 wins, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I hope we get to see them on the court this year.
What if you went for a three-peat? What if you got a three-peat and the bracket was Pitt, Louisville semifinal for a third time?
Yep.
And then you got Nebraska versus what if somehow it worked out Nebraska, Wisconsin semifinal, third time, Pitt, Louisville semifinal, third time, and then whatever. Because what if it was Nebraska versus the winner of Louisville, Pitt?
Well, the real winner
TV would be happy. Yeah, TV would be ecstatic. They get their storyline either way, right? They get their storyline.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what the committee does, because I know Nebraska is number one in their rankings, but I think Pitt's going to be 1, Nebraska's going to be 2. And for to get those matchups, you need Wisconsin and Louisville to flip-flop, and I think that's going to be hard to do with Wisconsin's early season losses, and Louisville will have to drop a couple extra. But I think that'd be great, and that doesn't include 2-time defending champion Texas is not in those matchups. But it's so juicy.
I know I love them. I just don't think. But maybe I just caught them on 2 bad nights. But they got to do some. They got to do some team building or something there and get them. They're just. I got to see the. I don't know. I got to.
You think turn it on again in the postseason like they did last year? So we'll see.
Really? Were they playing not good last year?
They had some struggles mid Big 12 season, but then they kind of, because they were I guess they were 5 overall seed, but they faced a set or match point in the Sweet 16, so they turned it on late, and kind of that was the real turning point to me when watching them, is they faced death, won, and all of a sudden they're playing free.
I don't know. Not Wisconsin. Nebraska just seems so locked in, but I'm telling you, it's not Pitt and, well, Anna DeBeer has the greatest game face in the history of volleyball. Like, when she puts that game face on, that should scare anybody, her mean look. But Pitt I saw him play Penn State, and I thought they were going to go get in a bar fight afterwards. Like, it just, they didn't want to beat you. They wanted to hurt you. And it just, like, there was nothing nice about it. And it kind of what I've seen Nebraska, it's what they look like. It's not good enough to win. It's like, oh yeah, that's over, on to the next one, right? Like, you know what I mean about being, is that what you see with them? Like, these games don't matter. We have a much bigger, or no, are they enjoying it?
I think they're enjoying it. Yeah. From what I've seen, I think I've talked about this recently, or asked Cook about that, is that they have their fun, but they're on the court to take care of business and sweep every team we can. And I've been impressed. I think there's a lot of worries early on when they lost to SMU, and that loss has proven to be a lot better than everyone anticipated. Yeah. That scared everyone, like, oh no, this is not supposed to be that. But I don't know how many times I've heard in interviews and just media appearances where they've referenced that was the turning point of the season. They locked on, and that kind of got their heads screwed on straight. So they're got their eyes on the prize, and got 3 more weeks left in the Big Ten to get their first goal of the season.
And SMU's not bad, people, by the way. We've learned that's okay for them to be good. But we will let you go. Everybody's like, oh, I thought this was a recruiting talk. It is, but we just talk volleyball. So it's good. Lincoln, I appreciate you. Tune in. Nebraska will be they will be right up there. And the only rankings we will do are the team rankings. And we tried to take all heart out of it. It's math. And so it's math. We're just trying to take all partiality out of it and but our players PPV. And so we'll hope to keep educating you and do the best we can with our stuff. So we appreciate it. Just keep checking the site. The stuff literally changes almost every day a little bit. And we'll look forward to seeing you down the road and reading your stuff. Again, Huskers Illustrated, and then Volleyball State
podcast. So yeah, we drop that every Monday, every wherever you get your podcast, every Monday we drop new episodes. So thanks for having me, Darren. Yeah, and even though you do math, people yell at me every week when I post the RPI standings for college volleyball. So math sometimes frustrates people too, but appreciate the work that you do and promoting the sport and doing all the recruiting work that you do.
That's all right. Hey, we're going to look forward to you citing us as your main source with all these prospects later. So we know you will. We love you, buddy. So take care, Lincoln.
Hey, Darren, have a
Lincoln
good one.
Arneal, #1 Husker beat writer, and follow all the Husker action. There's going to be a lot of it today. And we will be back with our live show at 1 o'clock. Take care, buddy.
See ya. Thank you.